Grandma plays the sweet old lady facade and destroys them all. Characters: UH ugly hoe, CM ex-fiance's lady mother, and SF spineless ex-fiance. My boyfriend and I were together for 9 years. On our 7th anniversary, he proposed and I said yes. But we decided that we'd get married after 2 years so that we'd have time to save up enough for the wedding and our future kids, etc. Our families were ecstatic, except for his mother. I don't know why, but she never liked me since day one, and she was not shy in showing it, i.e. incessantly accusing me of being a lady, but mainly being a gold digger. I'm not trying to brag, but I earn more than her son, and this will be important later on. I came from a well-off and respected family in our community. Whilst preparing for the wedding, his mum took pleasure in being a goddamn pain in the bum. CM would make changes about the details of the wedding without informing me or her precious boy, such as informing my guests that their invitations were revoked to accommodate her chosen guest, whom I've never met or heard about before, mess with the seating arrangements, and change the menu and arrangements, etc. I had to pay freaking twice, just to revert the changes she made. Of course, it did not sit well with her, so being the ever-mature adult that she is, she cried and threw a tantrum, a freaking tantrum. I am not a confrontational person, and I easily get anxious when I feel tension arise. Thank God SF's grandparents, from fiance's father's side, were really lovely people, and of course my beautiful grandma. They were the main reason why I was able to put up with all the bull poop she was doing. Belittling was one of her hobbies, so it did not come as a surprise when she berated me about my wedding dress, which was gorgeous by the way, and it was handmade by my mum's best friend, who's like my second mother. It took a year and 3 months to finish the dress. In short, the dress was really special to me. I never ever raised my voice nor said anything negative about CM, but the straw that broke the camel's back was when she stole my wedding dress 2 months before the wedding and destroyed it because she didn't like the design. I had a full-on anxiety attack when I found out about what she'd done, and whilst my anxiety attack was happening, she never lifted a finger to help me. But she just carried on her usual routine, calling my anxiety attack as a cry for attention and that I was just being over dramatic. It was too late to fix the dress, so I ended up buying a new wedding dress. By this time, we were way over our budget for the wedding because of this monster. Wedding day comes, and lo and behold, my dashing fiance was a no-show. No one knew where he was, and no one could reach him. I was devastated and a crying mess. And of course, CM thought it was a perfect opportunity to verbally attack and mock me. To be honest, it still hurts me every time I remember this. Up to this day, I honestly believe nothing will ever make me feel so pathetic. I showed up to work the following day, desperately trying to distract myself from all the fiasco, and 3 days after, I found out that he'd been cheating on me for a year with a mutual friend. The worst part was we all worked at the same place. As I said, I am not a confrontational person, so I did my best to avoid them and avoid the drama. But UH, the ugly hoe, started tormenting me by purposely showing off how sweet SF was. How he treats her like a princess, topped with nauseating public displays of affection, and she was spreading rumours and talking poop about me just to get me riled up, but it didn't work. UH, with the help of CM, started targeting my family. As I mentioned, my family is well respected in our community, and everyone knew what went down between us, so some of our close friends informed us about UH's malicious comments about our family. Of course, my ex-fiance, being the ever spineless lady he is, did nothing and sided with his new hoe. I'm really close with my grandma. She was the one who raised me when both my parents died. I love and respect the woman. She is an epitome of what a classy woman is. She has this aura that was really kind and comforting, but can be very intimidating when the situation calls for it, which is why she is well respected and well loved in our community. She always had a smile on her face and treated everyone well, and if it wasn't for her, I didn't think I would make it after all that had happened to me. So when UH started bad-mouthing her, I was heck bent on destroying her and my spineless and bumless lady ex-fiance. I was beyond furious at this point. Thus, I started scheming on how I planned to drag them down. I talked to my grandma about it, but she convinced me not to do so and that I should just leave our hometown for a while to take a breather and take some time to heal myself. After weeks and weeks of discussions, I eventually saw how everything that had happened and was currently happening was taking a toll on my mental and emotional health. So I conceded defeat to my grandma's idea. So I left. I didn't contact anyone from the hometown except my grandmother, of course. 2 years passed and I received an invitation for our high school reunion. By this time, I'd been really missing my friends and family, so I decided that it was high time to return and reconnect with them. Everyone was surprised to see me, but everyone was really warm and welcoming. It certainly felt like I was back home. Everything was going well. I was in line to get a refill of my drink when I overheard two girls blabbering about how UH was pregnant and the father of the child married man. I was curious as anything, but decided not to pry about it since I no longer want to be in the loop about whatever was going on about them. The following day, I met up with my favourite cousin, and my curiosity got the best of me. So I asked him about what went on when I left, and oh boy, I was not ready for the tea. My grandma always had a gleeful disposition. She always greeted everyone and engaged in small talks with anyone. But apparently, when I left, she started to act differently. The happy grandma from the next door was gone. She always had a gloomy smile, even the way she talked changed. She talked about how bad she felt for me, how she was hurting so much that her precious granddaughter was going through such a rough time, how it broke her heart knowing that she couldn't do anything to ease my pain. People around us knew Grandma as someone who hates to be seen as weak and helpless. Thus, it was truly a heartbreaking surprise when they saw Grandma at such states. Despite her lamenting about my unfortunate situation, she had nothing but kind words for SF, CM, and UH. Everyone revered me and my grandma for handling the situation ever so gracefully. Their words, not mine. Despite all the bad blood, we took the high road. People now started treating SF and CM differently, and they became a social pariah. After hearing what both SF and CM did and how they treated me, especially CM, most family members cut their ties with them. CM's husband, a good man but very timid, apparently was my grandma's student, filed for a divorce and declared that CM could have whatever she wanted for the marriage, as long as he doesn't have to deal with her anymore. As for SF, most of our mutual friends sided with me throughout the ordeal. SF was being groomed to be promoted for a takeover at the department chief, and this was huge because if it went through, SF would be the youngest chief in the company's history. But due to what had happened and the fact that his boss, my second mum's husband, was a close family friend of ours, it all went down the drain. SF was not fired from his job because the boss thought it would be such an easy way out, and because my grandma spoke to boss that firing SF would be wrong and unprofessional, and again played her sweet old lady card. UH was caught having an affair with one of her bosses. Unfortunately, this boss of hers was married. The wife found out about the affair but didn't know who the third party was. Obviously, divorce papers were filed and both parties agreed that it was a no-fault divorce. Until the wife received incriminating evidences of both UH and the boss, which were sent anonymously. Grandma had hired a private investigator to collect enough evidence to incriminate both UH and the boss. Not only did the wife sue for 80% of their property, but she also filed a case to have UH's license be revoked on grounds of moral turpitude. As the investigation went on, they found out that UH and the boss had been stealing from the company. One thing people did not know about my grandma is that she's really conniving. She knows how to play that sweet lady card all too well. So your grandma brought about the destruction of CM's marriage, she destroyed the word and reputation of CM and SF, resulting in their isolation from their respective peer groups, and she revealed that UH was having an affair and removed SF's chances at the promotion he so desperately wanted. That is absolutely nuclear revenge. Good job, Granny, good job indeed. Grandpa beats paedophile. Rest of the men may have finished the job. Trigger warning. Backstory. My grandpa went to prison in his late teens, early 20s. He ended up spending 11 years in there. This was prison in the 30s and 40s, so to say it wasn't easy is putting it mildly. Anyway, he came out with a terrible temper and more prone to violence. GP, Grandpa, GM, Grandma, POS, child molester. Story. This all happened in the early 60s in the rural Midwest. My grandpa and my grandma raised their kids the only way they knew how, picking vegetables as migrant farmers. In most of these little towns they lived in, the cops didn't really come around. The people in town just usually handled problems in their own way. In one of these towns, there was a POS who, it had become known, frequently raped his daughters and then would sell them to his friends in a town they lived in before. It was kind of an open secret, but no one had proof. So most of the parents, my grandparents included, just told their kids they couldn't go to that house. Apparently, one day, POS makes a comment to another man about how my grandpa was sitting on a gold mine with all those pretty young daughters he had. sad. The guy comes and tells GP what POS said, and my grandpa puts out word for the guy to stop by that afternoon. The POS comes over, and GP is talking to him and says he should come over for supper that night and ask what his favourite meal is. At this point in time, POS doesn't know GP knows what he said. The guy tells him fried chicken and fried potatoes. GP says, "Well, I'll get my wife to make it and you come back over in a few hours." After he leaves, GM, who is visibly shaking, says she doesn't want to make this meal and asks him what he's doing, and he says, "Honey, make it. Every man deserves a last meal." A few hours later, POS comes back and GM has made a spread. She always was a great cook. At this point, all their kids were at my GM's parents' house. POS makes himself a big play and digs in. He's making small talk with GP the whole time. After he finished off his second plate, GP asks him did he get his fill. POS says, "Heck yeah, you're a lucky man. Your wife is a great cook." And GP hit him. GP beat him through the house and onto the front porch. As he was beating him on the front porch, most of the other fathers in the area came by to watch. When GP was done, the man wasn't moving much and the porch was soaked in his blood. GM told us that the 6 months they lived there after this incident, she could never get the bloodstains completely out. At this point, a few of the other fathers walked into the yard and said, "Don't worry about it, we'll take care of this," and they grabbed POS and dragged him to one of their cars. Now, Grandma never could tell us if the guy died or not, but POS's family was still there when my grandparents and their kids moved to the next town and still hadn't seen him. My guess is if he didn't die from his injuries, the other fathers had themselves a little party that night. Wow, this grandpa certainly had a pretty detailed plan put in place to ruin this guy's life, as he had done so himself to so many younger girls. Anyway, if you enjoyed that video, go and check out another one right away. There are so many more Reddit stories on my channel for you to enjoy. Also, drop me a comment below if there's another subreddit that I haven't looked at yet and you want to see in the next video.